Good morning, everybody. My name is Shannon Smith, and I'm the president of the Mari Sandoz Heritage Society, and I want to welcome you all. Hi, Laura, Lisa. Thank you for coming all the way from Lincoln. We have people from Lincoln, New York City. We've got people from Gordon and Rushville and Hay Springs, and we've got people from Wyoming. I'm so pleased and happy to see you all here this morning. You may have noticed a little bit of a rush about. We're going to have a few changes to the schedule, but it's going to be a terrific event here this morning, and I'm really excited to be part of the program. And really excited to be part of the Mari Sandoz Heritage Society. Before we get going, I wanted to briefly say a few words about Mari and her friendship and support of American Indians. She believed that we needed to understand the past in order to face the challenges of the present. Sorry, I have this here because our main speaker is en route. So we're good there. She was a writer with a cause, and that cause was justice for American Indians. She was an activist, an ally, and an advocate. She was one of the earliest historians to emphasize that we couldn't know American history if we didn't know Native American history. And if she was standing here right now, we believe that she would tell us to think about the land upon which our feet are planted. Who has trod here before? Who has lived here before? And how has the land changed hands and been transformed? That's what she wrote about. To do that requires us to acknowledge the history of dispossession of indigenous peoples who know this place is their own. And Mari would want us to acknowledge that as well. Now, our society has not formally adopted what's known as a land acknowledgement statement, because at this time we believe we have a lot more work to do to really truly make that be a meaningful endeavor on behalf of Mari and what she believed. But we have committed as a group to work on that and to come up with something that is in a leaderful way in this regard. So I want us all to remember that Mari had very strong beliefs, and I think it's a great way for us to celebrate her name, that we talk about settlers, we talk about all kinds of history about the Europeans coming to the United States, but one of the things that was so important for her was to give voice to American Indians. And so I'm really thrilled that we have for years put together programs that really include all voices. So the Mari Sandoz Society formed a little over 50 years ago here at Chadron State College. A group of administrators got together and said we should be doing something to honor Mari Sandoz from this region. And for those of you long-timers, you may know there was a little Mari Sandoz kind of small exhibit here at Chadron State. For those of you from Gordon, know we had for years and years the Mari Sandoz room above Chamberlain Furniture, and the daughter of Chamberlain's is here and the grandson. So we have people who have known about and supported promoting Mari's legacy for decades. This organization became a nonprofit. It began to raise money, and eventually in 2002, enough funding had been raised in partnership with Chadron State College to open this magnificent building. So the Sandoz Society has, for years and years, done some pretty amazing things to memorialize this important author of Western Nebraska. So we encourage those of you who are here in this room today who don't get our newsletter, that means you're not a member, please talk to Elizabeth over at the table, get yourself signed up. She has a sign-up sheet, I'm sure. She's done every possible thing to make it easy for you to keep in touch with us, because you're going to hear throughout this day some really incredible, exciting things that we're doing. We have really a need to move into Mari Sandoz 2.0. We've lost two of our founders just 2 months from each other. For those of you who've come here for years, you may know Ron Hull, who was just a legend in the state of Nebraska. and we lost him in May. And the intellectual power of our organization was John Wonder, professor at the University of Nebraska, and he passed away almost exactly 2 months later. So we're figuring out some of our newer projects. They're going to be more aligned with what we need to do today. We're planning a multi-100,000, maybe close to $1 million project to digitize all of her letters, which were far in excess of both Catherine Neihart, our other beloved writers in Nebraska, combined. So we have big projects coming. Please be a member. Please follow the work that we do. And I would like all of the board members who are in the room right now to stand up so that you can know who else you can talk to while you're here at this great event. So we have a great board. All right, I have a couple of announcements before I hand over to the program manager. Some of you may have just found out today that Tony Malmberg, who is going to be our luncheon keynote speaker, was not able to join us. And I was so excited. His book, if you have not read it, is really a wonderful book. And I may be slightly biased because I grew up with him in Gordon, and he's just a great person, and the book is fantastic about holistic ranch management. I'm not a rancher, but the book is also about his life. Unfortunately, Tony was diagnosed with a really aggressive form of cancer and just 2 weeks ago, and is putting all of his energy into figuring out what his plans are. So in lieu of Tony, we have a wonderful man that I have worked with for many years in Wyoming, Donovan Sprague, who is legend throughout South Dakota, Wyoming, and over here. And he will be talking to us about Native American perspectives on history, and he will also take the keynote speech that Tony was going to do. And it's a presentation that he did that I read the reviews about it, so I'm really looking forward to it. And it's about the Native American perspectives of the Little Bighorn. And he's really the country's expert on this. So we do have some changes, but it's going to be a great event. It's very intimate. As you can see, we encourage lots of questions and answers. We had scrambled to ask some flexibility with some of our current speakers, and I want to thank you guys for agreeing to make changes. I think we have a good plan going right now, and I'm going to hand things over to Mr. Mike Smith, who is the program chair for this event today.
Oops. Thank you, Shannon. We have made changes to the program today, and we have a little reordering of things. And I came in this morning, and Shannon said, "Ooh," something like that, and it reminded me of growing up on the farm back in Illinois. And once in a while, you'd wake up in the morning. It didn't happen very often, but when it happened, it was sort of memorable. We had about 50 dairy cows, and my mother would say something like, "The cows are out." And it was all hands on deck, and you had to be flexible, so we're asking you to be flexible this morning. Again, I'm Mike Smith. I'm a member of the board and retired director of the Nebraska State Historical Society, retired 7 years ago, and currently residing in Overland Park, Kansas. So pleasure to be back in Nebraska, as always, and a double pleasure to be back out here on the High Plains, a place that I very much enjoy. I'd like to make some recognitions and thank yous before we start. First, I want to thank our program committee. Some members of the program committee who are here, would you please stand? Kurt is here. Let me see who else. But the others are, Renee, you're here. You were on that program committee. Renee agreed. Kurt Kimbacher from Chadron State College. Renee Nelson of the University of Kansas. Brock Anderson of the Trails to Rails Museum in Kearney, and a native of Gordon. I'm sorry Brock can't be here this morning. He has to work. What an awful thing to say. Courtney Kuba. Courtney is here, and been a great. Courtney's been a great asset for the Maury Sandoz Society over these past 5 years. And I'm sorry to say, on one hand, I'm sorry to say that she's leaving tomorrow for Wyoming and a new opportunity. But I want to wish her the very best and thank her for all she's done here particularly with our archives and many other parts of the Maury Sandoz Heritage Society collections and programs and with things that have gone on here at the center. Lynn Roper, thank you. Lynn Roper has been a member of the committee. She's right here in front. Don't get up, Lynn. You've got. And Shannon Smith, you've met. And I want to recognize also our staff, Elizabeth Chase. Elizabeth is over here. J.L. Schmidt back over there. So without them, this program would not take place. And the staff of the Sandoz Center, which has helped us organize and come together in this beautiful space, wonderful place to have a meeting, wonderful place to visit when you're in town and on campus. I want to thank the president and the faculty of Chadron State College, who also are instrumental in making things like this happen. So, but most of all, thank you for coming, because if we didn't come, we'd be talking to ourselves. And that, well, that'd be interesting, but it might be, you know, at the end of the day, you might say, really? I drove 664 miles to get here, and I would do it again. Well, I do it again even to talk to my friends on the board. So, nice of that. I'd like to say thank you to a special sponsor of this program, that's Humanities Nebraska. Program is brought to you with the support of Humanities Nebraska, a statewide nonprofit organization helping Nebraskans explore what connects us and makes us human, with additional funding from the Nebraska Cultural Endowment. If you enjoy this type of programming, please consider supporting Humanities Nebraska with a contribution. So thank you for them, and thank you for their support. They've supported this event every year that I've been involved, and many things across the state happen because of them and because of the unique Nebraska Cultural Endowment, which most states don't have, by the way. Okay, we've made some changes. We're going to begin with the second program, or second event on the schedule. Let me get my schedule out here. So, what we're hoping to do now is take telling our stories, preserving and sharing plains in, excuse me, that's incorrect. Panel discussion, preserving local history in Sandoz County. I worked in, Sandoz Scholar. I'm sorry, Chris. We have a special program, and we support as the Maury Sandoz Heritage Society. We call that the Sandoz Scholar. And board member Chris Steinke of Kearney University of Nebraska, Kearney, is going to acquaint us with that program.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks to everyone for joining this morning. I served on the award committee for the Sandoz Research Award this past year, along with Jillian Winberg and Brock Anderson. And this is a really unique support for scholars, researchers doing work that aligns with Sandoz's research and mission. It's an annual research award of $1,000 for proposals that emphasize new insights on Sandoz or new approaches to her life and work. The award recipient presents this research at the annual Maury Sandoz Symposium. And if you've attended past symposia, you may recall Brock Anderson presenting his research as well with the support of this award. Applicants interested in applying for next year's research award are welcome to access the details on our website. We're accepting applications for next year's 24-25 cycle, which are due July 31st, 2024. Additional financial assistance is available for award winners through the Voorhees Endowment, which provides stipends in the form of Voorhees grants for researchers using the archival resources of the Maury Sandoz High Plains Heritage Center. So for the big announcement of this year's winner, we're pleased to recognize Dr. Nathan Tai as the 2023-2024 Sandoz Scholar. And Dr. Tai is a colleague of mine at the University of Nebraska at Kearney. He's an assistant professor of Nebraska history and history of the American West. Received his PhD from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. A labor historian by training, Dr. Tai also works in literary and local history and serves on the boards of the Buffalo County Historical Society and G.W. Frank Museum in Kearney, along with the Japanese Hall in Gering, Nebraska. His research has been published in journals Nebraska History, Annals of Iowa, the Willa Cather Review, Walt Whitman Quarterly Review, and he's even appeared on NBC's Celebrity Genealogy program, Who Do You Think You Are? Dr. Shai will examine how Sandoz positioned herself and her response to book banning, in particular banning of Sandoz's work, Slocum House. And his research will draw on, quote, as he describes it, draw on Sandoz's voluminous correspondence held in Lincoln, focusing on the periods in which her books were banned in the 1930s and 1940s, and also will be using city council minutes, library reports, and mayoral records in Omaha and McCook. We had a difficult decision to make this year, and thank all the applicants, and we look forward to hearing about Dr. Tai's research in the near future.
Thank you, Chris. I'm always struck by the fact that we have such wonderful writers who grace Nebraska and given great honor to Nebraska in their work. And so many of their records, or their archives, are here in the state, rather than being in long, drawn-out places like New York or Chicago or Ann Arbor, Michigan. They're here in the state. So that this kind of a program where we bring scholars in and enable them to come here or to Lincoln, where the primary Sandoz records or archival materials are located, is really very helpful. And we know much more about the archival records here now than we did 5 years ago, thanks to Courtney's work that I mentioned just a minute ago. Now, all right, let's switch.